påminner mig lite om Henry Kissinger, USAs före detta utrikesminister, och han blev en gång introducerad på ett seminarium med orden att "this man needs no introductions". Vi fick han svara "perhaps not, but it sure is nice to listen to them". I was just wondering how many international guests do we have here today who don't speak Swedish? Hands up. I thought it might be perhaps more useful if my Swedish-speaking friends would allow me that I uttered a few words then in English. And okay, now allow me. Now, what I really wanted to do today is in the 15 minutes that I've been allotted is to try to explain my own international background and my own philosophy on studying. I was very much, I would argue, an average student. My grade point average was 8, which is probably around B+, in the US system. And I was never an extremely motivated student either. I mean, just like any good teenager, I focused on 3 things, and they were beer, sports, and girls, and not necessarily in that particular order. It wasn't really a problem of the school itself, because as all of you know, Finland has, by some measures, one of the best, if not the best, lower education system in the world. I just wasn't, I think, mature enough to cope with school. I took one class in macroeconomics and another one in international politics, and realized that, well, macroeconomics might be interesting, but it's kind of a guessing game, whereas international politics is an eternal guessing game and a lot more interesting. And that's how I got into it. So if I was to give you one piece of advice here in the beginning, and not that it was emphasized as I walked in, it is that try to do your stuff here in 4 years. I know you like it here, it's a wonderful campus, it's expanding and the rest of it, but I think a lot of the degrees in Finland can be easily done in 3 to 4 years. I'm also the type of person who firmly believes in languages. That was the reason I survived in school, I guess. Coming from a bilingual family and having spent a couple of summers in Canada when I was young, it was easy to pick up languages. But I do think that knowing languages breaks a lot of barriers. If I had a choice right now, I guess in this job, I'd love to speak Russian, I'd love to speak Chinese, but I don't. And I do think it's a handicap. Not an overwhelming handicap, but it would be very useful. It's good to speak European languages, of course, as a European. I speak French and German, and that helps. But I don't speak Spanish or Italian, and that would open a few more doors. So I welcome all of you who've chosen to take the international path and come to a different country to study as well. And I encourage all of those who have an opportunity to take a year off and study somewhere abroad, do it. It's really good stuff. I myself then continued on to pick up French actually for a year in Paris, and then did my MA at the College of Europe in Bruges, because I learned in the United States that European integration is a good thing. and that sort of brought me on the European path. Then comes a more difficult part of my education, to be honest, to talk about, and that was my PhD at the London School of Economics. I mean, I respect all of those people who've done PhDs and the rest of it, but for me personally, writing a PhD was not a thrilling experience. It wasn't one of those things where, yeah, now I think I have improved mankind and written a PhD on flexible integration in the European Union. But in terms of giving value added, I think, to the development of mankind, one could question it a little bit. So if I was you, yeah, if you want to strive for a PhD, go for it, but find a subject that you really like. My problem was that I was basically sitting alone in a room for 14 months writing it. And that's not necessarily for a person like me the best way to spend my time. But my basic message to you today is to all of you who are kicking off the academic year is I really want to wish you the best of luck. This is a very good, nice institution. I'm very taken by the fact that there's so many of you here at the opening. I'd also like to welcome all the international students who've come to the school. I hope they enjoy their year. And And if I had my way, and if I had a few wishes, study languages, get out of here in 4 years, and in between do an exchange. In the meanwhile, the best of luck, and have a great year. Thank you very much.